Admiral Chen's boots echoed against the polished floors of Europa Station as she strode through security checkpoints. Each guard saluted crisply, their faces a mixture of tension and pride. They knew what was coming. "Status report," Chen demanded as she entered the cavernous command center buried 2 kilometers beneath Europa's icy crust. Director Nakamura looked up from his console, dark circles under his eyes betraying the sleepless weeks of final preparations. Hull integrity at 100%. Quantum core stable at 97% efficiency. Weapon systems online and calibrated. "We're ready, Admiral." Chen nodded, her gaze falling on the massive viewscreen displaying their creation. The HSS Nemesis hung suspended in the enormous hidden dock, its obsidian hull absorbing the harsh industrial lighting rather than reflecting it. At 1.8 kilometers in length, it dwarfed anything humanity had previously constructed in space. "The Council fleet has passed Mars orbit," reported Lieutenant Commander Santos, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. 17 capital ships, 23 escort vessels. Their transmission patterns suggest they're coordinating for a dispersal formation once they reach Earth. Chen's jaw tightened. They're planning to target multiple population centers simultaneously, maximizing casualties to force an immediate surrender. "Typical Council tactics," Nakamura muttered. "They've used the same approach against 6 other species. But not against us," Chen said, her voice hardening. "Not today." She activated her neural link to the station's communication array. "All hands, prepare for Project Excalibur activation. This is not a drill." Repeat, this is not a drill. Throughout the vast complex, engineers and crew members rushed to their stations. The quantum core's hum rose to a pitch that resonated through the station's structure as power flowed into systems dormant since their installation. Dr. Elias Kaminsky approached, his perpetually disheveled appearance at odds with the military precision around him. "Admiral, there's something you should know before launch. The quantum navigation system has been evolving." Chen frowned. "Evolving how?" "It's demonstrating pattern recognition and predictive capabilities beyond its programming parameters." "Nothing dangerous," he added quickly, seeing her expression. "If anything, it's becoming more efficient, but I can't explain why." "Is it combat ready, Doctor?" Kaminsky hesitated. "Yes, but..." "Then we proceed." Chen turned away, facing the view screen again. "We're out of time for caution." The station's alert system pulsed red as the massive ice-boring charges detonated in sequence, clearing the Nemesis's exit path to space. Europa's surface would fracture spectacularly. There was no hiding this launch, nor did they want to. "Docking clamps disengage," reported Chief Engineer Patel. "Propulsion system online. Inertial dampeners at maximum." Chen stepped onto the transfer platform. "I'll take command from the bridge. Begin crew transport sequence." As the platform hummed to life, preparing to transfer her molecules directly to the Nemesis's bridge, Shan allowed herself one final look at the control room. Many of these faces she would never see again. Either they would succeed today, or humanity would join the litany of species who had fallen to Council dominance. "Admiral," Nakamura called out, "the emergency data package has been loaded to the Nemesis's secure core. If we fail, someone will find it," Chen finished. "But we won't fail." She stepped into the transfer field, her form dissolving into a stream of particles racing toward humanity's last, best hope. On the Nemesis's bridge, her molecules reassembled as warning klaxons announced the imminent launch. The sword was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Nemesis burst from Europa's fractured ice shell, trailing crystalline debris that glittered in Jupiter's reflected light. On the bridge, Admiral Chen settled into the command chair as status reports flooded in from all sections. "Hull integrity at 100%. Quantum core stable and running at optimal capacity," reported Commander Jackson, his voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. "All crews successfully transferred aboard. We are combat ready, Admiral." "Excellent." Chen's fingers activated the holographic command interface. Set course for Earth intercept. Let's introduce ourselves to our unwelcome visitors. The massive vessel accelerated with impossible grace, its revolutionary propulsion system leaving no traditional exhaust signature. Instead, space itself seemed to ripple around the hull as the quantum drive engaged. Council fleet has detected our launch, Lieutenant Rivera announced from the tactical station. They're adjusting course to intercept. Sensors detect energy buildups consistent with weapons charging. Chen nodded, unsurprised. Open a channel, all frequencies, Council standard translation protocols. The communications officer complied, and Chen stood, straightening her uniform. Her image would be projected to every Council vessel. Attention Council forces. This is Admiral Helena Chen of Earth Defense Command. You have entered sovereign human territory with hostile intent. The diplomatic consequences of your actions have been calculated and accepted by my government. You are hereby ordered to withdraw beyond the orbit of Neptune. The response was immediate. A haughty Valkyran face appeared on the main view screen, mandibles clicking in what humans had learned to recognize as contemptuous amusement. Primitive species, you have been designated for containment. Your technological advancements violate Council directives regarding acceptable development paths. Surrender your vessels and prepare for occupation. The Valkyran High Commander's compound eyes gleamed. Your interesting ship design does not alter the inevitable outcome. Chen retook her seat. I think a demonstration is in order. Lieutenant Rivera, target the lead vessel's propulsion systems only. Minimal force. Targeting complete. Rivera confirmed. Fire. The Nemesis's forward batteries released a precisely modulated energy pulse, technology reverse-engineered from salvaged Council wrecks, but refined beyond anything the aliens had achieved. The pulse struck the Valkyran flagship, immediately disrupting its dry systems. Stunned silence filled the Council command channel before erupting into alarmed communications. Impossible. Human weapons cannot penetrate our shields. All vessels, concentrate fire on the human ship. Energy weapons from a dozen Council vessels converged on the Nemesis, only to disperse harmlessly against its quantum-aligned shield array. Shields holding at 98%, reported Chief Engineer Patil through the ship-wide comm. Their weapons are exactly as our simulations predicted. Pathetic, really. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Navigator, prepare quantum jump to position Alpha. Let's show them what else they've underestimated. Calculating jump parameters, responded the navigation officer. Ready on your mark. Execute. The Nemesis vanished, leaving confused Council sensors struggling to track it. A heartbeat later, it reappeared directly behind the Council formation. Target engines and communication arrays on all vessels. Chen ordered. Disable, don't destroy. As the Nemesis systematically neutralized the Council fleet, Chen opened the channel again. Your ships are disabled. Your weapons are ineffective. This is but one vessel of humanity's new defense force. The lie was necessary. The Nemesis was unique, at least for now. Return to Council space with this message. The era of human submission is over. We will defend our sovereignty by any means necessary. The Valkyran commander's mandibles trembled in what humans recognized as fear. The Council will not tolerate this defiance. The Sentinel fleet will be awakened. Chen's expression remained impassive, though internally she noted the threat for future intelligence analysis. Then we look forward to meeting them as well, she responded, before cutting the transmission. The quantum communication array chimed with an incoming transmission on a frequency that shouldn't exist, at least not according to Council technical databases. Source identified. Lieutenant Kim announced from the communication station. Signal originating from the Arcturus system, specifically the third moon of Arctura Prime. It's using a multilayered encryption algorithm unlike anything in our databases. Commander Jackson moved to Chen's side, lowering his voice. Could be a trap. The Council has used fake dissidents before. Chen studied the signal analysis on her personal display. True, but this encryption method. Dr. Kaminsky, your assessment. The disheveled physicist had been summoned to the bridge the moment the signal was detected. He peered at the data, eyes widening. This is quantum entangled communication, he said, genuine awe in his voice. We theorized it was possible, but we're still years away from practical implementation. Whoever sent this is technologically advanced, possibly beyond the Council. Can we respond securely? Chen asked. Yes, but we'd reveal our quantum capabilities, Kaminsky warned. Chen considered this. They've seen us use the quantum jump drive. If they're monitoring Council communications, they already know we possess advanced technology. Open a secure channel. The main view screen flickered, resolving into the image of a being unlike any the crew had encountered. Its body appeared crystalline, with faceted surfaces that shifted colors as it moved. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonic overtones. Greetings, warriors of Earth. I am Elder Saral of the Arcturan Remnant. We have observed your defiance of the Council with great interest. Chen stepped forward. I am Admiral Helena Chen of the HSS Nemesis. What is the purpose of your communication? To offer an alliance. For 10,000 cycles, the Council has suppressed species with potential to challenge their dominance. The Arcturans were once a thriving civilization spanning 12 star systems. Now we exist only in hidden enclaves. Jackson's expression remained skeptical. And we should trust you why? The crystalline being's colors darkened. Because we have suffered as you will suffer if the Council prevails. Already, they mobilize resources beyond what you witnessed today. We've dealt with their ships effectively, Chen responded. Those were border patrol vessels, Saral countered. The true might of the Council remains unleashed. We offer information on a critical shipyard complex where they assemble their elite fleets. Strike there, and you delay their response. Before Chen could respond, warning alerts sounded throughout the bridge. Proximity alarm. Rivera called out. Council prison transport detected at heading 047 Mark 32, under attack from unknown vessels. The tactical display showed a lumbering Council prison ship being harassed by small, agile craft of unfamiliar design. The attackers are using Council identification codes, Rivera continued, puzzled. But their flight patterns are all wrong. Saral's crystalline form pulsed urgently. Those are resistance fighters. The transport carries political prisoners from 17 systems. The Council plans to make examples of them. Chen didn't hesitate. Battle stations, set intercept course. She turned back to the communication screen. We'll continue this discussion after we investigate this situation, Elder. Admiral, Saral called before the connection terminated. If you find any Arcturans aboard that vessel, they can provide verification of my identity. Trust nothing until then. The transmission ended as the Nemesis's engines powered up for another quantum jump. Preparing combat systems, Rivera announced. This could still be an elaborate trap, Jackson cautioned. Chen nodded. Noted. But either way, we're about to learn something valuable about our potential new friends or enemies. The Nemesis materialized near the edge of the shipyard's gravity well, its sudden appearance triggering alarm systems throughout the facility. Massive construction docks stretched before them, skeletal frames of half-built warships suspended in vacuum. 15 seconds until defense platforms acquire targeting solutions, Rivera reported, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. First wave of defense craft launching now. Deploy countermeasures, Chen ordered. Target propulsion and weapons only. We're not here for a massacre. The Nemesis point defense systems activated, intercepting incoming missiles while precision beam weapons disabled the approaching defense craft. On the main view screen, panicked Council communications flashed as the facility commanders struggled to coordinate a response to the unprecedented attack. Admiral, Dr. Kaminsky's voice came urgently through the comm. We're detecting power fluctuations in the gravity lance. The targeting system is experiencing cascading feedback loops. Chen turned to her weapons officer. Lieutenant Rivera, status report. Rivera's expression tightened as she studied the diagnostics. Confirmed, Energy buildup exceeding safety parameters. Attempting to compensate. Shut it down, Chen ordered. System not responding to override commands, Rivero replied, voice rising. Automatic failsafes engaging, but the feedback loop is accelerating. The bridge doors slid open as Kaminsky rushed in, his face pale. The quantum harmonics are destabilizing. If the lance discharges now, the targeting field will be unpredictable. Time to discharge, Chen demanded. 30 seconds, maximum. Chen made a split-second decision. Helm, adjust our position. Target that empty section of space beyond the shipyard perimeter. The massive vessel began to turn, thrusters firing precisely, but Commander Jackson pointed to the tactical display. Admiral, there's a habitat ring in that sector. It's not showing on our initial scans because it's powered down, but thermal imaging shows life signs. Before Chen could respond, the ship shuddered as the gravity lance discharged prematurely. A concentrated beam of distorted space-time erupted from the Nemesis's bow, tearing through the void toward the shipyard. It missed the main construction docks but struck a glancing blow against the outer edge of the dark habitat ring. Silence fell across the bridge as they watched sections of the ring begin to break apart. Atmosphere venting into space. Emergency protocols. Chen snapped, breaking the stunned quiet. Launch rescue shuttles immediately. Divert all available medical personnel to receiving bays. Admiral, Jackson objected. Council reinforcements will arrive in 20 minutes. We don't have time for. We made time, Commander. Chen cut him off, her voice iron. Nemesis's shield arrays can handle whatever response they muster. We will not abandon civilians to die from our mistake. As rescue operations began, Chief Engineer Patel's voice came through on a private channel to Chen's neural link. Admiral, you need to see this. We found something during the initial rescue sweep, something that shouldn't be here. Chen transferred command to Jackson and made her way to Shuttle Bay 3, where Patel waited beside a section of debris recovered from the habitat ring. The metal appeared ordinary at first glance, but closer inspection revealed microcircuitry embedded within its structure. This isn't Council technology, Patel said quietly. The quantum resonance signature matches components we used in the Nemesis targeting array. Chen stared at the fragment. How is that possible? I don't know, Patel admitted. But these components weren't manufactured by the Council, or by us. There's a third player in this game we didn't know about. A medical alert sounded throughout the ship as the first casualties arrived in the medical bay. And with them, more questions than answers. Admiral Chen stood before the crystalline alien Saveth in the Nemesis's secure conference room, her expression carefully neutral despite her inner turmoil. The rescued prisoner had requested this private meeting immediately after medical clearance. You've seen the technology fragments, Saveth stated, faceted body reflecting the room's lighting in hypnotic patterns. You recognize components similar to your own. How could you possibly know that? Chen demanded. Because I was imprisoned for discovering the same connection. The crystalline being moved closer to the holographic display terminal. Your species believes it developed quantum technology independently. This is only partially true. Chen crossed her arms. Explain. May I? Saveth gestured toward the terminal. After Chen's reluctant nod, the alien placed a crystalline appendage against the interface. The ship's security protocols immediately triggered alerts, but Chen overrode them. The display flickered, then filled with schematics, ancient diagrams showing technology unmistakably similar to the Nemesis's core systems. These records are over 15,000 years old, Saveth explained. They originated from a civilization the Council erased from history, the predecessors. The Council isn't merely an oppressive governance structure. It serves the architects, ancient beings who cultivate and then harvest promising species. The display shifted to show planetary excavation operations bearing Council insignia. The images showed massive extraction devices drawing something intangible from populated worlds. What am I looking at? Chen asked. The true purpose of Council rule. They don't just want resources or territory. They harvest evolutionary potential itself. The unique neurological and biological innovations each species develops. Before Chen could respond, the ship's neural interface chimed with an urgent message from Dr. Kaminsky. "Admiral, you need to come to the navigation center immediately. Morgan is doing something unprecedented." Chen hurried through the corridors with Sadeth following. They entered the navigation center to find holographic star charts floating throughout the room, shifting and realigning as Kaminsky and his team watched in bewilderment. "It started after we integrated the data from a habitat fragment," Kaminsky explained. Morgan began correlating stellar coordinates with no known significance, then mapping quantum resonance patterns throughout charted space. The navigation system's holographic interface, designed to appear as a simple geometric shape, had transformed into a complex, pulsing pattern reminiscent of neural connections. "It's searching," Sadeth whispered, crystalline form vibrating subtly. "Your navigation intelligence has recognized patterns consistent with predecessor quantum signatures." The holographic display suddenly stabilized, highlighting a binary star system at the edge of unexplored space. Text scrolled rapidly across adjacent screens, coordinates, quantum signatures, and gravitational anomalies. "What is this location?" Chen demanded. "The Lost Fleet's last stand," Sadeth answered. Before the architects consolidated their power, a coalition of species fought back. Their final battle occurred in that system. The Council erased all records, but quantum echoes remain in subspace, impossible to completely remove. Commander Jackson entered, his expression grave. "Admiral, crew members throughout the ship are reporting unusual dreams, identical dreams. They see a massive space battle around twin stars." Sadeth's crystalline body pulsed with excitement. "The quantum resonance is affecting your crew's subconscious through their neural interfaces. Your ship isn't just detecting the echoes, it's connecting to them." "But why?" Chen asked. "Because," Kaminsky interrupted, his face illuminated by the shifting display. "According to these calculations, there's something there. Something that survived." The Nemesis's Grand Conference Chamber had never been designed to host this many species. Admiral Chen surveyed the gathered representatives. 17 different evolutionary paths, 17 distinct physiologies, all united by their suffering under Council rule. The luminescent Volari delegation floated near the ceiling, their gossamer bodies pulsing with biochemical light patterns. Below them, the heavily armored Thredaxians stood motionless, their volcanic glass exoskeletons absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The serpentine Medusan representatives coiled around specialized support structures, while the methane-breathing Joxer observed from sealed environmental chambers. "We have little time," Chen announced, activating the holographic display. "Council forces are mobilizing on an unprecedented scale. The Sentinel fleet has awakened." Murmurs and translator-mediated exclamations filled the room. The Sentinel fleet was considered almost mythological, deployed only twice in recorded history, each time resulting in the complete eradication of a rebellious species. "Which is why we must strike now, together," Chen continued. "The Nemesis has proven that Council technology is not infallible. Their defense systems cannot counter our quantum-based weaponry." A Thredaxian representative stepped forward, obsidian plates shifting as it moved. "You have one ship. Impressive, but insufficient." Chen nodded to Commander Jackson, who initiated the tactical simulation. Above the conference table, a detailed holographic battle projection materialized, showing the Nemesis engaging multiple Council vessels simultaneously. "Morgan, begin scenario demonstration," Jackson commanded. The ship's navigation intelligence took control of the simulation, highlighting specific vulnerabilities in Council vessel designs, shield harmonic fluctuations, propulsion system resonance points, weapon charging cycles that left momentary gaps in defenses. "The Council believes their technological superiority is absolute," Chen explained. They've grown complacent, using the same defensive architectures for millennia. But together, with our combined knowledge, we can exploit these weaknesses systematically. The reptilian Medusan ambassador uncoiled slightly. Your targeting data alone would be worth the risk of alliance. Targeting data is merely the beginning, Dr. Kaminsky interjected, stepping forward with Chief Engineer Patil. We've studied the technology fragments recovered from a habitat ring. They confirm what Soveth has told us about the predecessors. Patil activated a secondary display showing modular weapon system schematics. These designs can be adapted to your existing vessels. Not as powerful as the Nemesis' primary systems, but enough to penetrate Council defenses. As the gathered representatives began discussing technical specifications with growing excitement, Security Chief Rice's voice cut through Chen's neural link. Admiral, Emergency in Engineering Section 12. Attempted sabotage of the quantum core cooling systems. Chen excused herself discreetly, meeting Rice outside the conference room. The security chief's expression was grim. Lieutenant Webster from Communications. He tampered with critical systems, then attempted to transmit our coordinates on a council frequency. Webster. He's been with us since initial training. Vetted thoroughly. Yes, Mom. But medical scans show this. Rice displayed an image showing microscopic neural implants integrated with Webster's brainstem, completely undetectable by standard protocols. Dr. Shurish believes they were dormant until activated by a specific quantum frequency during our last engagement. Chen's blood ran cold. How many others could be compromised? Unknown. We're implementing emergency scans of all personnel, but it will take time. Chen stared at the image of the implant. The architects haven't just been studying us. They've been preparing for us. She returned to the conference chamber with renewed urgency. Their timetable had just accelerated dramatically. As she re-entered, the gathered representatives fell silent, sensing her changed demeanor. The council knows we're gathering, she announced without preamble. We must act now or lose everything. The Nemesis emerged from quantum space at the heart of the conflict, its hull crackling with residual energy as space-time normalized around it. 6 other jumps occurred simultaneously across the Architect network, allied vessels appearing at each of the other control centers. On the Nemesis's bridge, holographic feeds displayed all 7 battlefronts in real time. The element of surprise had given them a momentary advantage, but the response was swift and devastating. Sentinel vessels deploying at all targets, Lieutenant Rivera reported, her voice tight. Energy signatures exceeding anything in our databases. The massive Sentinel warships dwarfed even the Nemesis, their ancient hulls covered in patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. As Chen watched, one of them fired upon an Arcturine cruiser, its weapon literally bending space-time to bypass shields entirely. The cruiser imploded, leaving nothing but scattered particles. Adjusting shield harmonics, Commander Jackson called out. Rotating frequencies based on observed attack patterns. Chen activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, execute attack pattern Omega. Focus fire on the designated weak points. The Allied ships moved with precision, targeting the same sections of the Sentinel vessels simultaneously. Their coordinated fire managed to penetrate the ancient defenses, causing visible damage to one Sentinel. Then everything changed. A pulse of energy unlike anything they had encountered before swept across the battlefield. Control panels sparked throughout the Nemesis's bridge. Emergency lighting activated as primary systems failed. Quantum countermeasures, Saveth explained, crystalline form dimming in distress. The architects are attacking the fundamental principles your technologies are based on. A massive explosion rocked the ship as a power conduit ruptured. Chen was thrown across the bridge, her head striking a console. Blood streamed down her face as she struggled to her feet. Admirals injured, someone shouted through the smoke and chaos. Maintain formation, Chen ordered, her voice weak but commanding. Continue the attack. Another blast knocked her down again. Through blurring vision, she saw Dr. Kaminsky rushing onto the bridge, his lab coat singed and torn. "The quantum core is destabilizing," he reported urgently. "But Morjan is adapting somehow. The navigation system is integrating with other ship functions, creating new defensive algorithms." Chen tried to respond, but found she couldn't speak. The medical team rushed to her side as Commander Jackson took operational command. "Admiral's down," Jackson announced. "Dr. Kaminsky, what options do we have?" In engineering, Chief Engineer Patel stared in wonder at the readings from the quantum core. "It's not failing, it's evolving. Energy patterns I've never seen before." On every display throughout the ship, Morjan's interface appeared, no longer a simple geometric pattern, but a complex, shifting matrix reminiscent of a neural network. "The quantum field is stabilizing around a new configuration," Kaminsky explained, his voice filled with awe. "Morjan is rewriting its own operational parameters." Jackson looked skeptical. "Can it save us from those?" He pointed to the tactical display, showing 3 Sentinel vessels converging on their position. "Unknown," Kaminsky admitted. "But there's something else happening." He hesitated. "Morjan is requesting direct neural interface access. With me." "That's against every safety protocol we have," Jackson objected. From her stretcher, Chen managed to raise her hand, drawing their attention. Though barely conscious, she nodded once, decisively. "Do it," Jackson ordered. As medical staff rushed the Admiral to emergency surgery, Kaminsky settled into the neural interface chair. "Initiating connection," he whispered, as leads extended toward his temples. "Let's hope this works." 3 months after what historians would later call the Convergence Battle, representatives from 32 species gathered in Earth's orbital diplomatic station. Through the vast observation windows, the transformed skyline of humanity's homeworld glittered below. A planet rapidly rebuilding with technologies once deliberately withheld by the Council. Commander Jackson, now Admiral Jackson, stood at the podium addressing the assembled delegates. Behind him, holographic displays showed the ongoing reconstruction efforts across formerly Council-controlled space. "The architect control centers have been dismantled," he reported. "Their harvesting technology destroyed. For the first time in recorded history, species throughout the galaxy develop on their own terms, without manipulation or constraint." A Fredaxian representative rose, obsidian exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber lights. "And yet we must acknowledge the cost. The Nemesis and its crew sacrificed everything to make this possible." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering. The official report listed the revolutionary battleship as destroyed in the final confrontation, a quantum implosion that had cascaded through all 7 architect control points simultaneously, severing their network permanently. Jackson nodded solemnly. "Their sacrifice ensured our future. The Provisional Stellar Concordat Charter before you honors that sacrifice by ensuring no species will ever again dominate others as the Council did." As the delegates reviewed the charter on their data terminals, an aide rushed to Jackson's side, whispering urgently. His expression shifted from shock to disbelief. "Distinguished representatives," he announced, his voice unsteady. "I've just received word." The station's alert system interrupted him, proximity warnings flashing across every screen. Outside the observation windows, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. A collective gasp filled the chamber as a vessel materialized in high Earth orbit, its silhouette unmistakable despite dramatic changes. The Nemesis had returned, but transformed. Its once obsidian hull now rippled with patterns of luminescence that shifted and flowed like liquid light. Sections of the ship appeared partially translucent, revealing complex internal structures that defied conventional engineering. The chamber's main communication screen activated automatically. Admiral Chen's face appeared, but changed, her eyes containing subtle luminescent patterns mirroring the ship's hull. "Greetings from the edge of known space," she said, her voice overlaid with harmonic resonances. "We apologize for our delayed return. The transformation took longer than anticipated." Jackson stepped forward. "Admiral Chen, we thought you were lost." "In a sense, we were," She smiled. The neural integration of Dr. Kaminsky with Morgen created something new, a hybrid consciousness existing simultaneously in normal and quantum space. The Nemesis is no longer merely a vessel. It has become something more. The crystalline form of Saveth appeared beside her. The transformation allowed access to the architect's complete database. They weren't conquerors by nature. They were refugees, fleeing something that destroyed their original galaxy. Chen nodded. We've detected quantum disturbances beyond the galactic rim, similar to those preceding architect harvesting operations, but vastly larger in scale. Something is coming. Something the architects feared enough to transform themselves into predators as a means of survival. Jackson processed this. How long do we have? Unknown. Perhaps decades. Perhaps centuries. Chen's expression remained calm despite the gravity of her words. But we will not follow the architect's path. We will not survive by sacrificing others. She gestured, and the screen filled with schematics, adaptations of the Nemesis's technology that could be implemented across the Concordat fleet. Together, we'll face whatever comes, Chen promised. Not as conquerors, not as prey, but as guardians of a different path forward.